Ever miss it?
I miss home. I miss the smell of the earth when it rains, and I miss my certain foods
and
the shopping.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So some of your training then, I know you were a businesswoman.
Yes.
And you did a lot of work in business as well.
Yes, I
did. You have a degree, is it in business?
No, I have a degree in economics.
Economics.
Yes, and I did international relations for my bachelor's and then master's in economics. And I worked with many worldwide corporations, Caterpillar, Ford, Max Factor, to name a few, Business Week.
I bet that must have been interesting if you picked up psychic impressions there at work. I think you talked about that.
Oh God, it was very embarrassing because you know I couldn't shake hands with people without kind of getting a zap of what was going on in their life, and then not being able to say it because you're working in corporate USA or even back in India when I was working at the Herald magazine. It was just not possible. You know, you're sitting in a business meeting and you can't just suddenly point to someone and say, you know, maybe you and I should talk about certain things that are going on in your life, you know. So I stopped shaking hands. I would just go namaste, you know, I'm from India, I don't shake hands.
Good way to do it.
Yeah, you know, just forgive me.
And you go, wow, there's some energy here. Back together.
Exactly.
Must be in a funny mood tonight.
No, but there is, you know, when you start giving Tantra energy, this is how you feel it. And then the energy, you'll feel the band. And this is how you practice. When I first learned to practice, I was about 8 years old. And my teacher, my guru said, imagine that you have a gold string and it's a gold rubber band and you're trying to stretch it and now feel it and then feel it and you go further and further until you feel it, and then literally I would bounce it from here to there. And then a cousin of mine walked into the room once and he said, what are you doing? And I'm saying, I'm bouncing my energy. And he put his hand there and he goes, whoa, and all his hair had stood up. He said, you gave me an electric shock. But he hadn't even touched me yet, you know? So
whoa, you don't know. You haven't felt anything yet, right?
Exactly.
Now, is that tantric healing? I know you do tantric healing, and I think some of us don't understand what tantric is. We just have a very narrow conception of it.
They have just one aspect of it, yes. Tantra is what is the base of Reiki. And Buddha was from India, so when Buddha traveled to East Asia, he took many Vedic beliefs with him. And so in Japan, it was called Reiki, but in India, it's called Tantra. Tantra is energy, and that is used for healing on different levels. Here in this country, they introduced Tantra to be just tantric healing as far as sexual healing. So the only association Americans have about tantric is sexual.
So, okay, so you're here to enlighten us that it's more than that.
It's more than that. I use it as sure. I use it as a healing medium to help people if they have aches and pains, or I have clients who are going through chemotherapy and they get severe nausea, or they are suffering a lot of pain with rheumatoid arthritis. So I send them Tantra, and I can do it long distance, and it helps relieve their suffering for a bit.
So you do what we call absent or distant healing.
Distant healing.
You can do that. So people could call you, and you can talk with them on the phone as well.
Exactly.
Because it really doesn't matter, does it? Whether a person's right here or whether they're at distance, if you're working with energy. Is that correct?
With energy, you can be anywhere. You know, I wish there was some kind of a time travel that I'm sure scientists will work on, like all our H.G. Wells story that you think a spot and you're there, you know. But spiritually, the world is a very small place. And you can travel planes, and you can travel, when I mean planes, not by the plane, but on different planes and levels, and you can be with that person. You can, when I was doing a reading for a client of mine in Houston just the other day, he's a interior decorator, and I said, I can't say his name, but I said, you know what, put that cigarette out. He goes, how did you know I was smoking? You're so weird. And I'm like, because it's choking me here, you know?
So you...
I was literally there because I could smell the cigarette smoke.
We might call that spiritualism, which I'm sure you know even more, clairsentient, where you're picking up through the feelings and through the, you know, experiencing
the smell, the sound,
in the body.
The taste, I'll taste it.
Well, I think that happens too. We sort of started off talking about what if, you know, Grandma fixed a turkey on Thanksgiving and you smell it, that we can open that gift up. And I think probably my idea is that a lot of people, or most people, do have that, but don't realize it.
A lot of people, and intuition, sure, intuition is an ability that is our sixth sense. That's why this is called the sixth sense, the feeling in the gut, just the knowing, you know, not being able to express it, but just the knowing. And the knowing is the sixth sense. However, it doesn't come in a clairvoyant way to many individuals, you know.
Oh, okay. And you are a clairvoyant. You're a psychic clairvoyant.
Exactly.
So what's the difference, and can we all become clairvoyant or sentient or just...
Can I become Angelina Jolie?
You don't need to.
You know, it's just given at birth, I feel.
That's true.
And there are certain people that will go through certain traumatic events in their life when they'll have a close to death or a near-death experience and be able to suddenly feel that one of their abilities was enhanced, you know.
We had a guest that actually was shot. It was a very sad thing, and someone else with her was killed, and it opened up a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
After that, a lot of ability. Not that we want to go around saying that has to happen, because it's scary. But and then other people that I've heard of in accidents or whatever, or sick, and something opens up.
Exactly.
I've never quite understood why that is.
It only opens up because it was already there. Remember that, you know. So it's an ability that is already present, but then because of the environment where the person grew up and it was not encouraged, or the religion that they were studying did not encourage certain feelings or senses, then that is blocked.
That's a big one.
You know, that is blocked.
That's a big one, because there's so much conditioning.
So much conditioning.
We were talking earlier, I think, about that, about being open and not putting, you know, putting limits on it.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it'll only open up if the person already had it. You know, if the person didn't have it, it's not going to be suddenly zapped in. I don't believe that, but it could. You know, miracles happen. I walk with no muscles, so miracles happen. You know.
You're
Absolutely.
amazing. You really are. Oh, we've already got Ginger on the phone.
Oh, Ginger's on the phone.
We're going to talk a few minutes on her.
Sure.
She just gets going. And so we do have 2 lines open if people want to wait just for a few minutes before we put you to work on the phone.
Sure.
But, you know, we were talking about being receptive and being healed. It isn't just physical healing, but like in relationships. You've had a lot of relationship clients lately, and people that need healing there.
Exactly.
Can you...
And they need healing in order to understand how to get over the pain of not being able to trust, you know, if a relationship has broken down. And in order to receive a healing, like, you know, we were mentioning the other day, they have to be open to receiving as well, you know. Because if you are not open to receiving, even if I brought grandma's turkey and placed it, but you don't take a bite of it, you're not going to be able to, you know, eat any of it. So it's the same way with receiving a spiritual healing. A person has to be open to receiving. The other day I was telling a client, I said, okay, I'll send you some tantra. She said, you send me what? I said, I'll send you some healing. She goes, well, what kind of healing? I said, well, it's like Reiki, it's just energy, so what will I feel?
Excuse me for wanting to send healing. Well, we're sort of conditioned into that, though.
Exactly.
It's true.
But she was suspicious because she was like, what are you going to send me? What am I going to feel? And I was like, you might feel a little tingling on your arms or your fingers, because she just had her arm broken, so she had her arm in a cast. And I say, you may not feel anything. And even if you don't feel anything, I'm sending you some healing so that your cells will be more receptive to forming the bone together real quick and, you know, heal quicker. But she was just really like, okay, so what am I supposed to feel? Who's going to be coming through? What should I be watching for?
I know. But receptivity, I mean, like you were just saying, way that I would put it is you could speak the truth or talk or whatever, but we have to be receptive to hear it. We have to get those ideas that we have out of the way. No one's going to jam it down your throat anyway. We can all choose, you know, what we want to hear.
Everyone has a choice.
Here to do this healing, and it sounds like there's a lot of relationship issues that are going on.
Recently, there have been.
How past lives can affect it too.
Absolutely.
We're just getting short on time, and the lines are jammed. We got Ginger and Gary and Kathleen waiting, but
we can go ahead.
You just before we do, I would love our viewers to hear about this lady whose past life was affecting her. That you're telling me about, the one in Tahoe, I believe.
Yes.
And so we can, if we can't get to what it is easily that is disturbing us. It could go back that far.